Um, you're welcome. And also, don't mind. I think the waste bin company, they're moving around, so don't mind the noise. It's just going to be temporary.
Okay.
So
All right.
let's know you, your name, where you from, what you do, and where you are.
Okay. My name is Selasie Djameh. I'm in Ghana. Well, I'm from Ghana, and I'm in Ghana, Accra, and I'm a filmmaker.
Okay. All right. So I already have interesting things I want to talk to you about. Obviously,
Okay.
we work together. We talk. So there are interesting things from some of our conversations that I would like to go into. But before we go there, can you remember your earliest memory?
My earliest memory. I think the earliest thing I remember is going to nursery school and just crying and crying because I didn't want to be alone. Yeah.
Yeah, I had that too. Not I see. I had a series of that. I used to cry a lot, like going to school. Like I would just cry and cry and cry and cry. Like they even had a song for me back then. Like the song says I should cry and fill the bucket. So
Oh, wow.
yeah, that's how serious it was. Okay. Um, are you isolating right now?
Yes. I've been at my apartment alone for over 60 days now. Well, I've been out, but just to go to the shops, but no socializing yet.
Over 60 days.
Yeah.
Wow. So that just brings me to thinking I'm isolating with my partner. How's that going, you know? Because it's different for everybody. Some people their partnerships are falling apart, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Some people are struggling staying alone. It's like this is affecting everybody different. How is it? How you manage in the last 6+ weeks? Have you navigated not being sociable, not
Mm-hmm.
having friends or family visit, just you and yours in your space?
Um, Honestly, now I'm kind of used to it, but in the first few weeks, it was pretty hard. Um, I think before this lockdown period, the longest I'd been home without going out was 2 weeks.
Two
And
weeks.
so now I have like bypassed that by far. And at first it was just trying to fill the time, just trying to think of what to do. And also the COVID thing was new. So like there was a lot more anxiety about, am I going to get it? Like, are my parents going to get it and all of that? But now it seems, I guess I've gotten used to it, so I'm more calm. Yeah.
Yeah. It's funny how um, things. It's not like the situation is getting better. The numbers are increasing, but I think after 1 month, those of
Mm-hmm.
us who were agitated, who were anxious, who were scared, whatever emotion you want to use to capture whatever a lot of people were feeling, some people are getting comfortable with the idea of this virus. You know,
Yeah.
you see that Accra is busy again. Do you see
Mm-hmm.
yourself getting back into your normal routine anytime soon?
My normal routine, well, generally I work from home unless I have a shoot. And at the moment, all the shoots have been cancelled or on hold. And so I don't really have anything to do out like that. So the only other thing I would have to do would be socializing. And no one I know is socializing. at least no one has told me that they're socializing. So no, I don't see myself going into a normal routine. Though a few days ago, someone actually like wanted me to do a shoot for them, just to record a video, help someone record a video, and while social distancing.
Okay.
And the topic was something I'm really interested in, mental health. But then I'm still thinking about it. I'm just like, is it worth going out to go and shoot? Because I'm not going to get much money from it. And so I'm just like, well, is it better for me to stay at home and be sure that I'm safe, or to risk it and do this thing? Yeah.
Okay, so picking from there, I know that you're not crazy about money, but with projects, more exciting projects coming your way, more projects that you're interested in come your way. How do you feel? I know you're thinking about it, but I just want to know where you are right now. Like, how do you feel? How do you see yourself getting back into production? Are there requirements that you're going to start giving to possible clients? Like, how you going to create, how you going to just navigate your workspace moving forward when you collaborate with people?
Yeah, that's a good question, because it's something I've been thinking about. I definitely don't want to work with like large groups of people, and also like I prefer to work outdoors if I have to, and also of course wear masks and like social distancing as much as possible. But then with film it's really difficult because, for example, this project that the person wanted me to do, I would have to film two people,
Yeah.
and even though she said we should social distance, I don't see how we're going to wear masks, especially the people who are appearing on camera, because it's going to affect the sound quality, and also it's just not going to look very good, right? So I'm still trying to figure it out in my mind, and I recently heard that South Africa has resumed film productions,
Yeah.
but they've banned kissing. So I'm trying to see how other people are navigating it, but from what I see, I think it still feels like an unnecessary risk.
Yeah.
So yeah.
That's funny. Can you ban kissing? Like,
Well,
it's crazy to even think about it. Like, I was laughing, then I caught myself. Like, it's, you might think, oh wow, the government is caring for us, but to infringe yourself into something that's so private,
mm.
it's a very private decision. How do you ban that?
Well, they've banned kissing on acting, like in acting, film
Oh,
productions, not
in
like
production.
for the general.
Oh,
Yeah,
I see.
yeah,
Okay, I see. All right, okay, I get it.
yeah.
Because you obviously are getting information for production and crews and filmmakers
Hmm.
in South Africa. Oh, okay, that makes sense.
Yeah.
That makes sense. I thought that it was like a general.
No, no. Although South Africa has been doing some quite questionable things, like banning alcohol, banning cigarettes.
Yeah,
Um, yeah, I don't know how I feel about that. I just feel like I feel like a lot of governments are taking advantage of this situation to kind of impose more rules and control more of the people. Yeah.
yeah. Okay, so you are someone that you are very, very open about speaking about mental health. Your and something that is really interesting about the way you speak about mental health is like you speak from a very personal. You share your own experience, right? And
Yeah.
thinking about this and how it affects the mental health of every person going through this is going through a form of mental health experience. And you published, I think it's a very in-depth self-help article or essay.
Yeah.
How has it been? Are you seeing people react? Are people asking you more questions? Um, Are you going to write more?
Yeah, I'm definitely going to write more. I've like outlined a few posts that are coming up. It's just I haven't really managed my time that well. But yeah, so there's more coming. But no, like people actually haven't reached out to me and said, ask me for help or resources or anything. Which I mean, I didn't think about it till you asked me, but in the past though, when I've shared, people have approached me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So for me, one strong thing that has been centering going through this experience is belief, intuition, spirituality. I would like for us to talk about that. Some days ago, I asked you a question. I saw your post on Facebook, and I asked you. I'm coming because I want to ask what. So I said secular humanist, like, because I saw you make a statement on Facebook, you know, and that stood out for me, because for me, all I just know is like atheist, Christianity, Islam, Ekankar, Buddhism, atheist, humanist. For me, have had several conversations with people, and I say
Mhm.
that I see it as a religion also, you know. And people are like, no, it's not, because I feel like it's religion is about a collective of people with the same beliefs or practice, so when I saw secular humanist, I was like, no, I'm definitely going to ask her what this is, because even in Ghana, you hear a lot humanist. Generally, I until I had that conversation with you or saw your post on
Yeah.
Facebook, secular humanist has not been a part of that humanist conversation in my head. So, would you care to
Mm.
explain your journey? In terms
To
of
secular humanism.
yes.
Wow. It's been an yeah, that's a big question because it's been a long, long journey. Years, and years and years. I grew up in a Catholic family.
Yeah.
Um, and I also went to a Catholic school. I was baptized and I did my first communion. Um, so I was on track to being a good Catholic. But then at school, at primary school, we had this class, religious and moral education, and where they taught us about various religions and practices. But then obviously it was a Catholic school, so they were heavily Catholic biased, and it was like teaching us more about Catholicism than anything else. Um, and I always had so many questions for the teacher, and he never could answer my questions satisfactorily. So I think that's where my doubts started, and I kept on asking questions, and I just realized that there were some things that were very unfair. For example, like Catholics believe that if someone dies before they're baptized, they go to purgatory, which is, I don't know how to explain it, but it's like a pre-hell. Like it's like hell, but like
Yeah.
not as bad as hell. And then if you're there for a while and they, whoever the God decides that you've suffered enough and you can now go to heaven, basically. So in class, they were teaching us that everyone must be baptized and get rid of that original sin that we're born with.
Yeah.
So I asked, what happens to people who died before they were able to get baptized, like babies, for example? And the teacher just said, well, they go to purgatory. And that just didn't sit right for me, because I just thought, like, this baby has come into this world not even by their choice, but then something tragic happened to them. They died and they end up going to purgatory to suffer.
Mhm.
And also I asked about, what if you're not Christian or you're not baptized, but you actually follow the 10 commandments, would you go to heaven? And it was no, because you're not Christian.
Yeah.
So I just thought, well, I keep hearing about this God who's so loving and kind, but like, why is he killing people and also like sentencing them to hell? Like, so I think that's my earliest memory of just feeling like I have doubts about this religion, and I don't think it's as kind and warm as everyone is telling me it is. Yeah, so from there I just started questioning more and more, and I started reading about philosophy and knowledge, ways of knowing. When I did IB, we had a class called Theory of Knowledge, where you examine the various ways of knowing things and you evaluate your sources of knowledge, like critical thinking, basically.
Yeah.
And there again, I had a lot of questions about religion and belief, and I just came to the conclusion that it didn't really make sense, at least not to me personally. And so after a while, but then even before that, I was looking for other religions that were less harsh, that were more accepting, more loving. And I found, I don't remember what it's called, but I found one religion that it's not dominational. It's like, it's more accepting. And I just thought, oh, maybe I should, look into this instead of Catholic. But then it still didn't resonate fully with me because it's the same God. And so, yeah, over time, I just decided that I didn't believe in God anymore. And I became atheist. But then when I became atheist, I mean, I didn't become it because I feel like I was always atheist because I just found it.
In just the way your thought process goes. Yeah, I can see.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. So then, where was I?
You became atheist.
Oh yeah, I became atheist, and then, but I was still looking for community. I was still looking for. I still wanted to do good. I still wanted to be kind and help people and things like that. And so I felt this kind of gap in this hole in my life, and yeah, I was also feminist, and I was also an LGBT plus ally. So I wanted a space where I could, do more activism and give back to the community at large. And so one day I just typed atheist Ghana, and I found a group, Free Thoughts Ghana, and they had meetings like once a month. So I decided to go for one of the meetings, and I was so happy to find a group of people who had similar views. They were all atheists.
Yeah.
A lot of them were feminists. They were allies to all sorts of causes. And I just thought, wow, this is amazing, finally, because before that, most of the people I'll come across in my daily life, I didn't have that in common with. And so it just felt comfortable. And then we formalized the organization. I think when I joined, they had been meeting for a couple of years, but they were not like a formal organization.
This atheist collective.
This atheist collective, yes. They were just meeting and like social support, debating topics. And a lot of people were also kicked out of home because they came out to their parents as atheists.
Wow.
So it was more like, yes. So it was more like a space where we could support each other. And some people were actually being given like financial support as well. So it was a great space. And one day we had a meeting, and one of the members brought up secular humanism and gave a talk about what it was and how it differed from atheism. And for me personally, I found that it aligned with my values that I already had. So I just thought, wow, this is perfect. Yes, I'm secular humanist. And because atheism is simply a lack of belief in the supernatural or a higher power.
Yeah.
But secular humanism actually subscribes to certain ideals and viewpoints, which is basically about it's supporting a lot of social causes, the environment, like equality for all, and those kind of things, which I strongly believed in. So from that point, we all decided that we're going to become secular humanists instead of just an atheist group. So basically, that was my journey to secular humanism.
Wow. So what year did you meet the atheist group, and what year did the transition happen into secular humanist?
I met the group, it was, I think, 2013.
Oh wow.
And the transition happened somewhere 2014.
Oh wow. That's
Yeah.
nice. That was quick. Um, so how's your experience been being a secular humanist? First of all, before we go there, how did your family react to you identifying as atheist and now identifying as secular humanist?
In the beginning, they were not happy at all. At first, even though I was atheist, I would still go to church. And okay, so originally when I decided I was atheist, I was in boarding school in Togo, in the British School of Lomé. So I wasn't living with my parents, but in the school on Sundays, a religious service was compulsory.
Yeah.
You had a choice between like church and an Islamic practice. And so obviously all the Muslims went to the Islamic thing and all the Christians went to the church or religious thing. And yeah, so I went for a while. But the thing is, because I was raised Catholic and I was going into a church environment that was more of a mix of various types of Christianity,
Yeah.
it was kind of it was kind of uncomfortable and shocking to me. Because it was more charismatic.
Yeah. Yeah.
And yeah, so that made me even more uncomfortable. I didn't want to go anymore. And I mean, eventually they decided to split it into charismatic and then Catholic. There was a bus that would take us to the Catholic church. But so my parents didn't really know what I was doing, all my views were. But when I graduated from the secondary school, I finished doing IB. I came back home for a few months in between before going to university, and I was living with my dad, and he would go to church every Sunday, and I really hated it, especially because I have to wake up at like 6, and get ready for church at 7.
That means the first mass.
Yeah, first mass. Yeah. So eventually I told him I'm not going to church anymore. And it was always a fight. Every Sunday morning we would argue, like, he'll come and knock on my door, wake up, and I'll just pretend I'm sleeping, and just to either be late or miss the whole church service.
Yeah.
But eventually I actually told my parents I'm atheist and I'm not going to go to church anymore. And yeah, they were not happy and they were asking me why, blah blah blah. But the thing is, my parents already are very liberal in their views, even though they go to church. And also, like, Catholicism is fairly liberal. So and the funny thing was, between Sunday after church to Saturday night, my dad would criticize like pastors, religion, talk about a lot of illogical practices. But then the moment Sunday morning came, he was like, no, now we're Christian, we have to go to church. And I just found that so, like, I found it so conflicting, because I said, I agree with all his views. I felt like all our views aligned. But then when it came to the thing of actually going to church, that's when our views diverged.
Yeah.
But eventually they just accepted that I wasn't going to change my views. Like, after years and years, it was obvious that I'm atheist.
Yeah. Well, at least I'll say congratulations for being one of those who, can somehow still find synergy with family. Because a lot of people, when they, go in different directions, they lose family. So
Mm-hmm.
that's why even people are scared to even say, "Oh no, I believe in this," or "I don't believe in that."
Yeah.
I know you're talking about finding a community of people who are like-minded. Now, do you think that you have found a community in the secular humanist community in Ghana?
That's another big question. So for years, I really felt like I had found my place, my community, like my cause. And I eventually became an executive in the group.
Oh
Well, the
wow!
group was called, yeah. The group was called the Humanist Association of Ghana.
Oh yeah, I know
Um,
I know people from that group. Definitely, I know that group. So that's the same thing as the secular humanist group.
yes, yeah.
Oh, okay, okay. Oh, you see, I was thinking that the secular humanist group was a different group and the humanist group was a different group.
No, basically, secular humanist and humanist are used interchangeably.
Yeah, okay, okay.
Secular humanists, oops, sorry, alarm going off. Secular humanist is really just, secular is just used to qualify a humanist.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah, I get it now. I get it. Okay, nice. I know some few people who definitely are members of the
mm,
humanist group. So we're talking about you finding a community.
mhm, mhm. Um, yeah, so I was an executive for how many years? I don't remember exactly, but I remember there were at least 2 terms that where I was an executive, and we did so many projects, and like it was all volunteer based.
Yeah.
So yes, I led so many projects. I was happy to do so much work and be in community with all these people. I even lived with some of them.
Yeah.
We also socialized on the weekends. Like we basically became family. We did
Family,
everything
definitely.
together.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what happens. That's what happens when you. I think that's what a lot of people find in religion. Per se, I
Yeah.
feel like some people it's the social aspect of it, but then there's the belief aspect of it. So when you can find that community where everything comes together,
Mm-hmm.
it just makes sense. So no, no, no. But you said you taught. So,
Yeah.
oh, okay, cool. So you want to touch on that? Like, are you still a secular humanist?
Yeah. It's complicated. I'm still a secular humanist. I just feel a lot more isolated because I'm no longer associated with a group. Um, there
The
was
group, the group in Ghana, yeah,
yeah
the
the group in
official community here.
humanists. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. But I still identify as a secular humanist, and it's tricky because that means I don't have a community,
Yeah, it's like a
and I'm
Christian or a
still
Muslim who doesn't go to church or mosque.
yeah, and I don't have anywhere to turn to. I don't have colleagues anymore.
Oh, that's strange because you that's this is confusing because you think in some ways this is like um you see some pastors who say, "Oh, I'm no longer a pastor with the church anymore. I'm starting my own church." Or you see
Yeah.
some members who say, "No, I don't like something, something, something about that church. I'm going to another church." Is it the same thing, or did you have like an experience, or do you just feel like the family was no longer your family? Because I bet there are a lot of people who are members of the humanist group here.
Yeah, there are quite a few of us. Oh, no, well, I keep saying us, but I'm no longer part. Well, at the time I was a member, I think there were at least 50 people that were like officially registered, though a lot of them were outside of the country and would come in and out. But yeah, the regular group who was working on projects and stuff, I think we're about between 15 and 20.
Yeah.
But yeah, I had some bad experiences with some members, and in the end, after all the years and time I spent building and developing relationships, I just felt like I didn't get the support that I deserved during those conflicts. And so I didn't feel safe anymore in that space. And I decided it was best to leave. I mean, I tried to resolve things several times, but then nothing really came of them. So I just thought, like, why do I keep banging my head against the wall trying to get a result that is not happening?
I don't want to, definitely, maybe after this call we can continue talking, but I don't want to go today because this is not what we're doing. But I'm curious and I have questions. You can stop me if you want. But if you journeyed all these years and you finally found a community, and then you feel like unprotected, you don't feel safe, and you feel like this is no longer a community, what does that do to you mentally? How does that affect you now? And sorry to add to that, how long has this been? Like,
okay, well, the conflict actually occurred over more than a year, but it came to a head in 2018.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, in 2018. So at the time, it was extremely difficult because I was also living with some of the members that I was having the conflict with. And so basically I had to leave where we were living. And there was just a lot happening. That was also the year I was graduating from film school.
Oh, wow.
Sorry?
I say it sounds like a lot happening.
Yeah, there was a whole lot happening. I had to find a place to live. I had to go through my graduation. And also, I didn't want my parents to know the details. So I had to, come up with a reason why I was back home. And also, my parents my dad at least knew some of these people. So he would keep asking me, oh, how is this person? How is that person? And I'll just be like, oh, yeah, I think they're fine. Or I'll just find a way to just avoid the topic. But eventually, obviously, they realized that every time they bring them up, I would just change the subject.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was really hard on me mentally because I had what I would call a crisis of faith, because I felt like all the things I believed about activism, about humanism, about support, about community, all of a sudden I didn't know if they were real. Because to me, I saw these people as family. I saw them as people I would forever be tied to. And so to not be supported like that, to be abandoned, to have them choose someone else over me, that really broke my heart, to be honest. And for a long time, I really was not okay. And it's only in the last few months that I've started to feel good again.
Well, I'm just happy that you said your last statement, you've started to feel good again, because I definitely personally can understand what it means for your family for you to feel like your family failed you, and even to even make matter worse, your chosen family, because the blood family there, it's in and out. Sometimes it's serious, sometimes it's not. But your chosen family, it's a lot of work. It's a lot of investment, and not to feel safe. Which is the one of the core foundation of I want to believe secular humanists is that everybody should be safe to be and express themselves. So
Yeah.
so how are you navigating community now? Are you trying, because I know that you are not an extrovert, like
Wow.
you keep to yourself. So how you managing in terms of finding a new community? Do you have close friends that you're still close to, or were your close friends a part of this community? Do you have friends in your production community that you are still close to, or has this experience just affected um, friendship in general?
Okay, so first of all, at the time, because I had this humanist community, I didn't really feel the need to necessarily put a lot of effort into making other friends.
Yeah.
Since like I lived with them, I went to meetings with them monthly, we did projects all the time. And we also celebrated other personal stuff together. So it was like, well, I already have my family and friends. Why do I need to socialize again? So leaving the group like really hit me hard. And also just seeing that the people I thought were my friends also were not standing up for me against the people that I was in conflict with. Um, it was extremely brutal. And up till now, my idea of community is like very shifty. I don't know if I will be comfortable finding another community building. And also from other conversations I've had with people, like similar things happen in other communities where you've spent years building and all of a sudden something happens and you finally realize your actual place in that community. Um, just like human conflicts and things like that.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously, I expected conflict and things to happen, but I just thought that we were, yeah, and we were more mature and more morally and ethically concerned that we would find ways to resolve it. And also, I spent so much time trying to keep it contained and not let other people find out because I didn't want the group to get a bad name. And all of that was just pressing on me. So, yeah, it affected me a lot mentally, and I just lost trust in basically like all people. I had to spend months with my therapist just talking about what community meant to me, what activism meant to me, what friendship meant, because it just felt like all of it was just empty and fake. Um, but I still have a few spaces that I partake in, like the Young Feminists Collective. They have been extremely supportive. I wouldn't call them friends, but I feel,
Acquaintances, network.
yeah, we network. And also whenever it's a space where you can come in and say, well, this is happening, and you immediately feel the support, even though these are not people that you've spent years with. There's just that solidarity, which I don't even know if I experienced in Hague.
Oh wow.
And yeah, and also the other thing is I realized that now I prefer like women spaces a lot more than any other space, because Hague was very male dominated. I don't know exactly what the reason was. Maybe I think, yeah, one thing is that society is a lot harder on women who are rebellious
Different.
against the status quo. So a lot of them won't come out and say I'm atheist and want to join a group that's public.
Yeah.
So a lot of the members were men, and I think that also affected how the space and conflicts happened and were resolved or not resolved. Um, I was constantly one of the only women, and so I always felt pressure to, not necessarily negative pressure, but I always wanted to represent whenever there was any kind of woman topic or there was a panel or something.
Yeah.
But the biggest difference I've seen is that in women's communities, there's so much more of an attempt to make everyone feel comfortable and heard and supported. Like even in Hague, before this major conflict that made me leave, there were incidents of harassment that I experienced. And they were never really properly resolved. Yes, people would say, yes, harassment is wrong and it shouldn't happen. But in terms of accountability and actually like setting ground rules and showing zero tolerance, that didn't happen. And I think that's what kind of bled into this conflict, because there was already that culture of not holding people accountable and not, making firm rules and guidelines so for behavior. And so when the incidents happened, it was just the same kind of laissez-faire, just, let's just brush it away kind of thing that happened. But in feminist groups or in women's groups, there's a strong call for accountability and, resolving things, making amends.
Yeah, because definitely, because a majority of the people in the room where you are saying this happened to me have gone through a form of harassment, right? So they
Yeah.
immediately want to protect you and make you feel safe. But if you are in an environment where, like you said, male dominated, they would immediately want to protect themselves. You see,
Mm-hmm.
it kind of makes sense, because I feel like men, um, even men who are trying to be um, more progressive, also deal with the fear of losing the power bestowed to them by society, and
Mm-hmm.
society which has been constructed and shaped by men, So I feel like there's a lot of unlearning that we as men must do, and a
Mm-hmm.
lot of fight that we as men must do. And this is the reason why I personally do not belong to any association, any religion, anything, because I feel like ideas are excellent. The biggest
Mm-hmm.
problem are the people. You
Yeah.
understand? The, like when you said what you said right now, I wasn't shocked. Not because I feel like, oh, this humanist society is bad. I know some people there, and I perceive them as good people. But for me, I feel like humans are humans, men are men. So if you give me a
Mm.
collective of men and you tell me, oh, something like this happened to me, I would not be like, no, prove it. I definitely, any woman who comes out to say I've been harassed or whatever, I definitely would want to hear her first before even giving the option to say, okay, let the person who has been accused come and prove otherwise. Because I just feel like
Mm.
the statistics and the data is just, the evidence is there, but men would always want to
Yeah.
look like it's not. So I'm happy.
Well, I do want to clarify though that on the harassment thing, it wasn't that I wasn't believed. I was believed, but unfortunately, that was not even enough, because no, they didn't sit the person down and say, "Why did you do this? This is wrong, and we don't tolerate
Accountability.
this." And yeah, there wasn't that. It was just like, "Oh, we're sorry that this happened." And the thing is, it happened in front of a lot of the members,
Yeah.
but they, for some reason or the other, either didn't recognize that what was happening wasn't okay, or um, I don't even understand it really.
Yeah.
But yeah, but eventually when I spoke up about it, they were supportive. I mean, they were supportive, but like, I think what people don't understand is like there are degrees to support. You can't just say, "Oh, sorry." Like, "Oh, sorry" is nothing. Like,
Yeah.
it doesn't do anything. It doesn't fix anything. and you
I
have
was,
to.
sorry,
Mhm.
sorry. No, you finish.
I was going to say you have to take steps to ensure that things like that don't happen anymore, and that people realize that there are consequences to their actions.
Uh, Very true, on point. I was speaking with Romeo, who is a poet. It's one of the conversations I already released, and we're talking about
Mm.
abuse and safe spaces, especially for women. And
Mhm.
I was saying that you can feel like you are trying to be protective, you're trying to help, and
Mhm.
indirectly even make the matter worse for the person you are trying to help. You know, that's
Yeah.
why even in this idea of building safe spaces, we need to really ask ourselves what justifies a safe space. You know, like
Mm.
me, for instance, as a man, I could make my space as safe as possible. But what am I doing in other spaces that are not safe?
Yeah.
I leave my space and I go into spaces that are not safe, you know, and be with people that are abusive or just make things more difficult. What am I doing in those spaces? Because I feel like it's not one way. You must be accountable. You must try to be as accountable as possible, as much as you can. Um, but I'm happy that you found your, because I feel like life is process, right? So you're transitioning, like from being a Catholic, you know, you transitioned and transitioned and transitioned, and now finding that you're coming to like your center, which is you are a feminist. You've always been a feminist. That's something that has not changed. So to now
Mm-mm.
find that comfort within your feminist group, that's amazing.
Yeah. And I've also found like multiple feminist groups too. There's another feminist group I'm part of, which is largely online. And actually, that's the group that I feel most supported in. Not just supported, but it's just, it feels so like safe and nurturing.
Yeah.
There's no doubt in my mind that if there's anything happens, maybe between a member and I, or even outside in my life, and I come there and I say, this happened to me, I feel bad, please help me, there's no doubt in my mind that they will do everything they can to resolve the thing or help me, which I didn't experience in Hag.
Yeah. What would you say to anybody going through the same experiences you're going through? Like being on this part of the journey right now, you know, and
Mm-hmm.
find people who are going through the same experience. How would you help? How would you? What information would you give?
Hmm. I don't know that there's like a formula or like an answer to that question.
Yeah.
I'm still processing, I'm still healing. Um, but the number one thing I'll say is that if you feel like you're not valued in a certain space, if you feel like you're not safe, if you feel like you're not supported, like leave that space. There's absolutely no need for you to sacrifice yourself, keep face, or to save the name of any group or any person. Like you always have to think of your mental health first. And that's what I learned. And honestly, I should have left way earlier when I noticed that my attempts were to resolve things were not happening. We're not hitting any results. So that's the first thing I'll say. And try and find people who can listen to you, and people who can support you boldly too. Like, because there are lots of people that would come to you privately and say, oh, I saw what happened and it wasn't right, I'm so sorry, but actually never do anything, like never actually have conversations, never hold their friends, their colleagues accountable. And due to this experience, actually, I learned something from it myself. I realized that there were some things that happened that I could have spoken up about that I didn't.
Okay.
I Yeah, like things happening where either I wasn't brave enough, or I felt like maybe the person had it under control, so I didn't go and hold my friends accountable and say, oh, I heard you did this and it's not right, and what are you going to do to resolve the thing with this person? And so I just take the whole thing as a growing and a learning experience. I've grown from it, and I know now how to better navigate my spaces and to the kind of atmosphere I want in my communities.
Yeah. It's it's really, really peaceful, when you can realize, when you come to that realization, like, oh, this is how I want my community to be. So whenever you're about to open the door for someone new, the
Mhm.
benchmarks you're looking at, the signs you're looking at, the feelings you're
Yeah.
um
Hmm.
so definitely, definitely, it's just amazing just hearing this from you and your journey so far. And obviously, there's more. And I would love, if you do not mind, maybe we have another session like this sometime soon. But I want to ask you this question, right? Love and duty,
Okay. Hmm.
which one?
Love and duty.
Yeah,
What do you mean? Which one would I choose?
yeah, love or duty? Yeah.
Wow. Why do I even have to choose between them?
Well, maybe you can present an alternative. So, yeah.
Love and duty. Um, I'll choose authenticity,
Hmm.
because love and duty, I have to follow my beliefs, my values. So if I love someone and they're doing something wrong, I would have to go with my morals and say, well, this is wrong. Not be like, oh, because I have a duty to my loved one, I will shield them even though they're wrong.
Oh wow. And that just proved like the essence of who you are. So I just want to say thank you for saying yes to this conversation. And
Thank you for having me.
I want to have another one. No, I want to have another one. So keep the door open.
Sure. I mean, you're always welcome. I love talking to you. You're a good listener. You bring out good topics. So keep doing what you do.
Yeah, and thank you because you support me. You have helped me in productions when you didn't have to. You you're always ready to help with the platform that I'm building, and I'm really appreciative. Really, really. All right.
Yeah.
Bye.
All right. Bye.
Bye. Take care.
All right.
Uh, bye bye.